What's up, babies? If you've just downloaded Counter-Strike for the first time, you may find it overwhelming trying to get better by yourself. So in today's video, we'll cover some steps to start improving your skills. We'll start by adjusting your crosshair and sensitivity with some of the in-game tools. We'll explore the benefits of Deathmatch and differentiate between the Valve and community servers. We'll talk about the competitive game modes, talk about what's worth playing, what to think about while you're playing them, what to focus on. And finally, I'll try to point you in the correct direction for some other people on here on YouTube that are very good educational Counter-Strike content creators. So, without further ado, let's get into it. That's awful. I hate that. Alright everybody, I lied. We're not starting with the crosshair and sensitivity stuff. First, I'm going to talk about the market and skins. You don't need them. If you're brand new, I understand that you probably know that skins exist in Counter-Strike. I just need you to understand that owning a skin won't get you better. Like, you'll get attention from having it. This video is focused on getting better at the game. Skins will not do that. And if you feel so inclined to get skins at some point, I would recommend just buying something outright. This op is $23, and instead of buying $23 worth of cases and keys for whatever collection this is, it would be cheaper just to buy the skin itself. I'm not recommending it, but if you are going to spend money on the game, you don't need to gamble. Just buy the skin you want outright. It's a lot cheaper that way. And if there becomes a gambling issue in the future because of this, my only real recommendation is search gambling addiction and then the area that you live in. Be some good resources there for that. Alright, the first actual thing I want to go over is your sensitivity. It's the first way you're really interfacing with the game. The only real simple recommendations I can make with sensitivity is find something you are comfortable with. The same goes for your crosshair, but in terms of sensitivity, like if you have a DPI toggle on your mouse, I would recommend just not using it at all. Pick one sensitivity usually. There'll be times where you see high-skilled players switching up their config a lot. People with thousands of hours can kind of afford to do that because they know the game so well that like a small adjustment can make a difference for them. But if you're a new player, picking one thing and getting used to it is 100% what I would recommend. And in terms of like general settings, 400 DPI is good if you have the right sensitivity to match it. 800 DPI is good if you have the right sensitivity to match it. 1600 DPI is okay. It's all the same. As long as you're not going to like 16,000 DPI, that doesn't serve a purpose other than redundancy, so you don't need to put your mouse up that high. Playing with the sensitivity that high is very difficult. Very few players are successful in Counter-Strike with that high of a sensitivity. So next we're going to look at the crosshair. There's a couple ways you can go about adjusting it. There's the way that's in your pause menu. I'll show you how to get to it. You click on the gear, game, crosshair down at the bottom. And there's a lot of different options. I will actually show you in a second. Better way I feel to adjust a lot of this stuff. This is an easy way to do it quick and not think about it too much, but there are better ways to adjust your crosshair. So when you're on the Steam page, you just come over here, click on workshop, takes you to the community tab. You scroll down a little bit, Crash Z crosshair generator. You want to subscribe to this. I'm already subscribed. You pick your side, and then there's a lot more options where it's immediately obvious as to what you're supposed to be doing. And all of these options are very straightforward. The only one that I think, if you don't understand like picture editing stuff or like video opacity, alpha is just how clear your crosshair is. 255 is the max. 218 you can kind of see through it. You can see it kind of makes a difference. And there's different styles of crosshair. There's static, which is the one I like. It's dynamic, that moves while you're moving. It's a good tool to show when you're accurate and when you're not while you're moving. It helps you teach counter-strafing. Then there's the hybrid that just moves when you shoot. So there's a couple options there. I like static just because it's less visual information coming to you. Oh, interesting. I didn't know this was an option. You could turn this off. This is a good option. I will turn that off because I don't want it. This I like. It's kind of cheesy and it helps sometimes. Crosshair thickness, whatever you're comfortable with. Dynamic gap, I don't think it helps that much. Follow recoil, I have this bound. What this does is it shows you the spray pattern. I have infinite ammo on, so the spray pattern went on for longer than it should have. It's a good option to teach the recoil pattern. There's another map here that I can show you that is good for that as well. All right, and we're back on the Steam Workshop page. We're gonna look for the Recoil Master. Here it is. This one is by Ulytical. It's a really good map. It does basically the same thing as what the follow recoil thing does, but it just shows you so you could do it without the follow recoil. This is a staple in Counter-Strike Go. It was was a really early on workshop map that came out. Very useful, helped a lot of people learn how to play. Pretty straightforward as well. You lock yourself in and you just start spraying. I'm not the greatest at it. I could do more practicing with it. I like landing my first bullet and getting the kill early on, so I don't like spraying 30 bullets at a time. But this is a useful tool as well. All right, next we're gonna start looking at Deathmatch. There's a couple different ways you could play Deathmatch. There's a couple different options. This first option I'm showing you is Valve Deathmatch. It's the Deathmatch that you get just from clicking around in the main menu. And what I like about this version of Deathmatch is it gives you experience to get your drops that reset every week. In Valve Deathmatch, it's kind of slow. There's a lot more options for weapons. It's a lot more new player friendly. However, because it's very new player friendly and it's a lot slower in terms of getting better at the game, getting better at like crosshair placement, really honing in on movement and stuff. It lets you take very slow steps in terms of like getting used to getting your movement under your feet and putting your crosshair with your movement. Valve Deathmatch is definitely the more casual version of Deathmatch as compared to the community server Deathmatch. And in Valve Deathmatches, you'll see a much wider variety of weapons that you can use. In some of the community servers, it will limit you to the main rifles and then sometimes pistols. However, that does serve its own purpose if you want to practice something specific. In this kind of game mode, you can't come in here and practice your USP. Everyone has armor. Everyone's going to be using primary weapons. However, in a community deathmatch, there will be designated times for pistol play where people will have no helmets, no primary weapons, only people using like Glock, Tech 9, USP, Deagle. One of the major downsides I will say about this game mode compared to community deathmatch is whenever you get kills, your health doesn't get restored, your ammo doesn't get restored. That's the biggest plus, I would say, there is to community deathmatch, because while you get to have very fast peaks, fast fights, stuff is happening more often, you're getting ammo and health every time you get kills, so you just get to keep going. In this, you have to stop to reload. You have to stop to restore your health with the syringe. Here, I'll show you how to get to the community servers. Play, click on this, community server browser. If you want to find it, you want to click on change filters, server name, deathmatch. Sometimes you could put DM, connect to a Chicago server. One of the first things you'll notice is this is a little bit faster pace-wise. So whenever you get onto a very populated community server, this one's not the most populated, you'll notice that the pace is very, very fast. And something that you'll notice with community servers is competitive players, good players, people who want to warm up, people who play deathmatch often will come to this. Major downside for this one is you cannot gain XP to get your weekly drop. However, if you're playing enough, you're probably getting your weekly drop without playing deathmatch anyway, unless you're playing on Face It. But if you're a new player watching this video, you're probably not on Face It competing at a high level. And if you'll notice, as I'm dying a bunch of times, it throws you back into the fight very, very fast, whereas a Valve deathmatch, very slow. You know, you respawn, you get invulnerability, you can't move for a second, people get to stand around you and wait for you to move, or you can abuse the fact that you are invulnerable and wait for someone just to stand still so you can land a single shot to kill. It's a lot less cheese in this game mode. Some deathmatch servers will ban knifing because people will just try to be annoying. You know, people will come in here to warm up, to get their daily deathmatch time in if they're a bunch of sweats. And if someone comes in trying to knife, people will be upset, and not in like a haha I'm trolling kind of way. It's like people are doing something with a plan and you're getting in the way of their plan. Another big up for community servers, you have a lot more options to play on servers that favor you. I would recommend playing on servers that reflect what you would get from normal play. Whenever I play Valve competitive game modes, I get Atlanta servers, I get Chicago servers. Atlanta's the one that I prefer. I hate Chicago servers, so I'm going to spend a lot more time on Chicago because I don't like the way the hit reg feels and I gotta get used to it to get better. There are a lot of options you have in terms of ping, in terms of what kind of map you want to play. There are pistol only death matches, there are headshot only death matches, and really the community deathmatch just teaches you to aim and shoot faster. Maybe not even better, but just get it done faster. If your goal is to kill somebody, it will help you do it faster because you have to land your first bullet. People you play against will be trying, they will land their first bullet, you have to be faster. I think it's a good lesson to teach in this game because at some points during a competitive match, the game will speed up on you very, very fast. You'll get triple peak. And sometimes because of deathmatch, if you're like really prepared, you can fire off 3 one-taps because it's nothing. You spend a lot of time deathmatching, and it's the kind of fight that you would take in deathmatch. I wouldn't recommend playing competitive like it's deathmatch, but there are times where you have to speed it up. In like a very fast play that you make in deathmatch is something that transitions very easily over to competitive. This is the one I would recommend if you actually want to get better, but if you want to just like spend time getting comfortable with movement, spend time getting comfortable with particular guns, Valve Deathmatch is the place to go. But like if you've gotten past that point and you're ready to start getting your gunfights feeling better, Community Deathmatch is definitely the place to go. The next thing I want to cover is the casual game mode as well as the competitive game modes. Casual is not competitive. It is a different game mode entirely. They function differently. In competitive, you have to buy armor. Your money is a lot more tight. Casual, you don't buy armor. You buy upgraded stuff every round. You start with more money. You don't damage your teammates. There's less nades. Nades don't affect your teammates as much as they do in competitive. If you want to practice in a less stressful environment, that is the main game mode. I think this competitive game mode is the way to go. It is technically ranked. The disparity in people in any given lobby is extreme, especially in this elo. This is where it starts everybody. Premier is more serious than competitive. This one just gives you a whole number to quantify your rank. Competitive per map kind of lets you know if you are just better at one map compared to others. And then finally, if you're going a step beyond Premier, maybe there's too many cheaters, you climb too high, you start climbing into cheaters. Face it is an option. It's where all the best players play. And whenever it comes to ranks in this game mode, in competitive, in Premier, and in Face It, the way you really want to think about it is the rank is second to your skill. If you feel like you're getting better and your rank isn't adjusting, that's okay. Like, if you feel like you're playing better, you're playing better. Filling yourself with that kind of confidence, knowing that you're playing better, knowing that you're playing well, regardless of if your team is winning or not. Like, at some point, this does become an individual game, especially when you're pugging, whenever at a low level, like one person can completely take over a game. The thing you want to focus on if you're getting better is if your skill is getting better. Your level will reflect your skill eventually if you're playing well and you play enough. However, preventing yourself from playing because you're afraid of losing a rank is very counterproductive, because if you run into a problem as you're climbing, that's an issue for you to fix. That's a thing that you can get better at, and then you can climb even faster once that problem has been resolved. All right, and the final thing that I want to talk about is YouTuber, Counter-Strike content creators, educators, people who I think make good content. If I miss anybody, please let me know, because honestly, I'm a motherfucker who needs some of this shit. iNoToRiOuS. Good option, has some not Counter-Strike stuff, has made Counter-Strike stuff since 2is came out. Global Offensive stuff. Some stuff will still apply from Global Offensive, some stuff will not. Positioning stuff, how to mentally prepare for gunfights, shit's still fine. STYKO gives you a deep dive into pro play, has some information about how to play rounds and stuff. Very insightful, very thought-provoking. I like hearing about the pro side of sports, esports. It's interesting hearing from the competitors themselves. Launders does really good breakdowns of pro POVs, talks about a lot of movement. He's one of the commentators during Pro League stuff. Been on the call for a lot of very important stuff happening in Counter-Strike. Got some good stuff. Voo. Very straightforward, not competitive player, POV breakdowns, talking about non-pro players. We'll talk about pro players and stuff. Has a wide range of elo that he will cover. A lot of good information, a lot of videos. A lot of his older stuff will still hold up. TheWarOwl has done more educational stuff in the past. He's doing more for fun stuff now. Still just as good. A lot of the information that he has in his videos will still end up being educational. He likes talking about the game. He likes the game. Austin is a nerd, and I say that in the most loving way possible. This guy likes this game. I can respect him for it. During the major qualifiers between maps, this motherfucker was practicing nades. During a BO3, his team won. He immediately disconnects, starts practicing nades for the next map. What a guy. He's got a lot of good information, has a lot of good ideas, plays at a high level, have some smart ideas for you to learn from. These are the YouTubers I think are a good starting place to start learning about how to play better, positioning, how to utilize a lot of the options you have in game. Alright, thank you everybody for watching. I hope somebody somewhere learned something. If that happens, then my goal was met. I hope at the very least I got some people started in the correct direction. If there's anything that I missed that you think I missed, drop it down in the comments. If there's enough, I might make a sequel to this, talk about some more stuff, get some free content. Let me know your thoughts. Be reasonable, be kind, be a good neighbor. State Farm. My name has been Jake. I'm wearing khakis, and thanks for watching. I don't think I can use that.